Hello everyone, I am a Power Platform and Dynamics 365 CE consultant for Alif Consulting. In today's video, I'll be talking about security concepts in Microsoft Dataverse. What is a security model in Microsoft Dataverse? I'll be talking about teams, security roles, record-based security, field level security, all those things. So let's begin the session. One of the key features of Dataverse is its rich security model that can adapt to many business usage scenarios. This security model is only in play when there is a database in the environment. As an administrator, you likely won't be building the entire security model yourself, but will often be involved in the process of managing users and making sure that they have the proper configuration and troubleshooting security access related issues. What is role-based security? Dataverse uses role-based security to group together a collection of privileges. These security roles can be associated directly to users, or they can be associated with Dataverse teams and business units. Users can then be associated with the team, and therefore all users associated with the team will benefit from the role. A key concept of Dataverse security to understand is all privilege grants are accumulative with the greatest amount of access prevailing. If you give broad organization level read access to all contact records, you can't go back and hide a single record. What are business units? Business units work with security roles to determine the effective security that a user has. Business units are a security modeling building block that helps in managing users and the data they can access. Business units define a security boundary. Every database has a single root business unit. You can create child business units to help further segment your users and data. Every user assigned to a Dataverse environment will belong to a business unit. While business units could be used to one a true organization hierarchy, more often they lean more towards just defined security boundaries to help achieve the security model needs. To better understand, let's look at the following example. We have three business units. Woodgrove is the root business unit and will always be at the top. That is unchangeable. We have created two other child business units, A and B. Users in these business units have very different access needs. When we associate a user with this Dataverse environment, we can set the user to be in one of those three business units. Where the user is associated will determine which business unit owns the record that user is owner of. By having that association allows us to tailor a security role to allow the user to see all records in that business unit. To better understand, let's look at two examples. The two examples have three business units. Woodgrove is the root business unit and will always be at the top. That is unchangeable. We have created two other business units, A and B. Users in these business units have very different access needs. Hierarchical data access structure. Customers can use an organization structure where data and users are compartmentalized in a tree-like hierarchy. When we associate a user with this Dataverse environment, we can set the user to be in one of those three business units and assign a security role from the business unit to the user. The business unit the user is associated with determines which business unit owns the record when the user creates a record. By having that association, it will allow us to tailor a security role which allows the user to see records in that business unit. User A is associated with division A and assigned a security role Y from division A. This allows user A to access the contact 1 and contact 2 records, while user B is in division B. In division B cannot access division A's contact records but can access contact 3 record. So this is what was explained in the previous slide. So Wood Group is the root business unit. Under Wood Group business unit, there are two child business unit, that is Division A and Division B. Contact 1 and Contact 2 are created under child business unit A, and Contact 3 is created under Division B. So user A has role Y Division A security role, and user B has role Y Division B security role. So user A can access the users under Division A can access Contact 1 and Contact 2 records, whereas user B cannot access Contact 1 and Contact 2, whereas user B can access only Contact 3 records. Owning business unit. Each record has an owning business unit field which determines which business unit owns the record. This field defaults to the user's business unit when the record is created and cannot be changed except when the feature switch is turned on. You can manage whether you want to allow your user to set the owning business unit field when the feature switch is on. To set the owning business unit field, you need to grant the user's security role the business unit tables append to privilege with local level permission. To allow your user to set this field, you can enable this field in the following: from form, both the body and header; view, column mappings. If you are using the auto map entity, you can specify the field in your column mapping. Next is table or record ownership. Dataverse supports two types of record ownerships. One is organization owned and another one is user or team owned. This is a choice that happens at the time the table is created and can't be changed once the table is created. For security purposes, records that are organization owned, the only access level choice is either the user can do the operation or can't. So it is none or organization level access that can be given to the organization owned records. For user and team owned records, the access level choices for most privileges are tiered: organization, business unit, child business unit, or only the user's own records. That means for read privilege on contact, I could set user owned and the user would only see their own records. To give another example, let's say user A is associated with Division A and we give them business unit level access, business unit level read access on contact. They'd be able to see Contact 1 and Contact 2 but not Contact 3. When you configure or edit security role privileges, you're setting the access level for each option. The following is an example of the security role privilege editor that will be shown in the next slide. So as you see in this slide, you can see the core records, right? The entities are the tables. So you can see account, ACI, view mapper, action card, activity, all those are tables within Power Platform or Microsoft Dataverse. And the privileges that you see are create, read, write, delete, append to, assign and share. And within that each privilege you have access levels. So access levels are either none, user level, business unit level, parent child business unit level, or organization level. So these are the these are the table structure, that is the designer for security role within Microsoft Dataverse. In the previous slide, you can see the standard privileges types for each table: create, read, write, delete, append to, assign and share. You can edit each of these individually. The visual display of each will match the key below as to what level of access you are granted. In the previous example, we have given organization level access to contact, which means that the user in Division A could see and update contacts owned by anyone. In fact, one of the most common administrative mistakes is getting frustrated with permissions and just over granting access. Very quickly, a well-crafted security model starts looking like Swiss cheese, full of holes. Next is teams. Teams are another important security building block. Teams are owned by a business unit. Every business unit has one default team that is automatically created when the business unit is created. The default team members are managed by Dataverse and always contain all users associated with that business unit. You can manually add or remove members from the default team. They are dynamically adjusted by the system as new users are associated or disassociated with business units. There are two types of teams, owning teams and access teams. Owning teams can own records which give any team member direct access to that record. Users can be members of multiple teams. This will allow it to be a powerful way of granting permissions to users in a broad way without micromanaging access at the individual user level. Next is record sharing. Individual records can be shared on a one-by-one basis with another users. There is a powerful way of handling exceptions that don't fall into the record ownership or member of a business unit access model. It should be an exception though, because it's a less performant way of controlling access. Sharing tougher to troubleshoot because it's not a consistently implemented access control. Sharing can be done at both the user and the team level. Sharing with the team is a more efficient way of sharing. A more advanced concept of sharing is with access teams, which provides auto creation of a team and sharing of record access with the team based on an access team template which is applied. Access team can also be used without the templates, with just manual add or remove of its members. Access teams are more performant because they don't allow owning records by the team or having security roles assigned to them. Users get access because the record is shared with the team and the user is a member. Next is record level security in Dataverse. You might be wondering what determines access to a record. That sounds like a simple question, but for any given user, it is the combination of all their security roles, the business unit they are associated with, the teams they are members of, and the records that are shared with them. The key thing to remember is all access is accumulative across all those concepts in the scope of a Dataverse database environment. These entitlements are only granted within a single database and are individually tracked in each Dataverse database. This all requires they have an appropriate license to access Dataverse. Next is field level security in Dataverse. Sometimes record level control of access is not adequate for some business scenarios. Dataverse has a field level security feature to allow more granular control of security at the field level. Field level security can be enabled on all custom fields and most system fields. Most system fields that include personal identifiable information are capable of being individually secured. Each field's metadata defines if that is an available option for the system field. Field level security is enabled on a field by field basis. Access is then managed by creating a field security profile. The profile contains all fields that have field level security enabled and the access granted by that specific profile. Each field can be controlled within the profile for create, update and read access. Field security profiles are then associated with the user or teams to grant those privileges to the users to the records they already have access to. It's important to note that field level security has nothing to do with record level security. A user must already have access to the record for the field level security to grant for field security profile to grant them any access to the fields. So the record level access is a must in order to grant them access to the fields. Field level security should be used as needed and not excessively, as it can add overhead that is detrimental if overused. I hope you have understood this session. Thank you.